As we see a yellow flag for the 66 car of Amir Lackany. They return to the pits, and they're going to lose out on a lap. They'll probably only be able to get 2 flyers in now. But that's still tons of time to set a good lap in. Just maybe you want to set a banker. Oh, and we have Twisted IG. How are you doing tonight? And that is true. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Whether you're spending it sim racing or relaxing. Ross Fallon about to cross the line, setting the bar. He's going to jump up to P4 with a 137.980. And we're going to have William Cologne jumps up to P4 and Tyler James to P2. Tyler James with 137.262 and Cologne with a 137.387. We have Nate Camden comes across the line in 7th with a 137.962. Then you have Mike Burkhoff top on the chart so far with 136.667. Who else? We got the 85 car of Jarek Snyder coming across the line in P11 with a 139.090. And the 42 car of Professor Chronotis with a 139.107. Currently sitting P12. As we have the 66 car of Amir Lackany. Had to abort their first flyer due to implications, and they're just going to be starting their first flyer as we speak. As he crosses the line. It'll be close, but this might be their only lap. But we'll have to see if they can get across the line in time. But jump back on board with Ross Fallon as he's making away down these 2 right-handers. Currently 8/10 up on their time. Not enough to take pole, but that's almost enough to jump Bronson Turner. He's going to cross the line in P3 with a 137.110. As we also have the 48 car of William Cologne. He's unable to improve. He's going to sit in P6 for now, but he's got one more chance. We have the 2 car of Tyler James. He was able to improve his lap up to P2 with a 136.870. Looks like Mike Burkhoff just crossed the line, improving yet again on their time with a 136.202. We have the 85 car of Jarek Snyder improving with a 137.610, jumping up to P8. The 42 car of Professor Chronotis was able to improve, but only made it just to go up to P11. As all these drivers are on their last lap, as our sights will be set on Chronotis is done his qualifying session. He didn't invalidate, but that's definitely not going to help him out, as we have Amir Lackany coming across the line. This is going to be his only valid lap of the session. From P21 to P12 with a 138.400, as we see the split 1 drivers leave the pits and start making their way out onto the track. We've got the 55 of Ross Fallon coming around the 2 right-handers, the final 2 turns of the track. See if they're able to improve. It looks like they are down about a 10th on their time, and doesn't look like they're able to improve at all. As we see the 2 car able to improve, but unable to improve enough. Still sits P2 with a 36.360. As we got Nico Camden crossing the line, P3 with a 136.930. We got the 85 car of Jarek Snyder coming across the line, currently 4/10 up on their time. So jump him up to about P5, P6 as he crossed the line with 137.222. And the 42 car of Professor Chronotis, and he aborts his final lap as he wasn't able to improve. And that is the starting grid for the split 2 field. We have Mike Burkhoff taking pole position. Tyler James in P2, Nico Camden in P3, Ross Fallon in P4, Jarek Snyder in P5, William Cologne in P6, Professor Chronotis in P7, Amir Lackany in P8, And everyone has set a lap so far. Now it's just up to these splits. 3 drivers. As we have, I believe that's a 17 car. No, the 84 car, apologies, of Kenneth Portis II in that TSR Honda. You got him and Ed Kerstetter. Doesn't look like Kerstetter gave him much of a gap. So we'll see if that comes into play at all during the last 6 minutes of this qualifying. Seems like there are quite a number of drivers missing tonight, as there are only 28. As Kenneth Portis and Ed Kerstetter making their way down the 2 right-handers down the main straight. See where they climb from 17 to 1st, quickly dethroned by Ed Kerstetter. You have Ed Kerstetter crossing the line with a 135.882, taking provisional pole, and Kenneth Portis II with a 136.020 in P2. You got Dominic Duran, P6 now, with a 136.5, with Riley Manier taking provisional pole away from Kerstetter with a 135.560. You got Jacob Padberg in the 888 Studio 2108 Martini Racing McLaren, currently P9 with a 136.902, as we have Ricardo Rivera with a 136.005, up to P3 with that. We have Chris Moses with a 136.440, currently in P8. You have Quinn Smith in that 999 Lexus with a 136.582. Who are we missing? We got Andreas Mostachero with a 137.175, currently sitting P15. You got Matt Artem, 137.540, puts him up to P20. You got Renato Ferreira, P23, with a 138.147. And I believe that's all drivers to set a lap, as we have the 84 car of Kenneth Portis II coming around the final 2 right-handers. Currently 4/10 up on their time. This will set them up to pole position. This will be a close one between Kenneth and Manier, as Kenneth crossed the line just over 0.5 with a 135.622. So we got Gage Gonzalez, P5 with a 136.125. You got the 28 car of Ed Kerstetter crossing the line, unable to improve their time, maybe giving themselves a bit of a gap to Kenneth in front for their final lap of the session. We got Andreas Mostachero crossing the line, unable to improve last lap. We got the 21 car of Dominic Duran, was able to improve, jumping up to P3 with a 135.810. The 27 car of Manier was not able to improve last lap. We got... who is that behind? Is that Quinn Smith? It is not. That is just a 99 car of Renato Ferreira, was able to improve up to P20 on their last lap. And then you got Jacob Padberg, the 888, unable to improve last lap. Who else do we got? We got Ricardo Rivera. The one was unable to improve as well. Quinn Smith was able to improve, jumping up to P9. You got the 414 of Matt Artem, also able to improve up to P14. The 36 car of Chris Moses was able to improve up to P5. And the 13 car of Gage Gonzalez with a 135.612, jumping up to P2, as the 84 car of Kenneth is about to cross the line. Let's see if... they take provisional pole with a 135.540. Ed Kerstetter bails off their lap, so they're not able to improve. Then we got the 14 car of Andreas Mastachero, currently 2/10 up. Jump up to 13 maybe? He does with a 136.970 as we have the 27 car of Riley Manier taking provisional pole with a 135.152. We got the 888 of Jacob Padberg about to cross the line with a 135.972 P7. You got the 53 behind. That's Ricardo Rivera with a 135.660 for P4. You got the Lexus of Quinn Smith right behind with a 135.862. Jumps up to P7. Got the 414 car of Matt Artem, P15. And that is qualifying, everybody. We'll very exciting qualifying as we have a couple minutes until race start. We have rain 5 minutes in the forecast, so the time race starts, it might be a little greasy on the track. As we'll do a quick grid rundown for this first of two tonight, this 30-minute race. We got Riley Manier taking pole in that Honda, the Parlay Summer 2022. Alongside, you got Gage Gonzalez, his teammates, another Honda. In the second row, you also have a Honda lockout. You got Kenneth Portis II and Ricardo Rivera, both in Hondas. P5, you got the first non-Honda, which is Dominic Duran in the 21 McLaren. You got Chris Moses in P6, Quinn Smith in P7, Ed Kerstetter in P8, and Jacob Padberg in P9. In 10th and split 2 pole setter, you got Mike Burkhoff, and alongside him you have Tyler James, Nico Camden in P12, and Andreas Mastachero in P13. Your split 3 pole setter, Bronson Turner in P14, you got Matt Artem in P15, Ross Fallon in P16, Jarek Snyder in P17, George Elmer in 18, William Colon in 19, 20th, you got Renato Ferreira. 21st, you got Aaron Kuhn. Chronotis is in P22. You got Amir Lackany in 23. Andy Yoke in 24. Jamison Cusworth in 25. Charles Wolf in 26. Eric Ukassian in 27th. And some latecomers, you got Marc-Antoine Landry in P28. Santiago Orozco in P29. And in P30, you have Jack Thompson. As those last 3 that we called out, or that I called out, joined the server late and was not able to set a valid lap, so they'll be starting from the back of the grid from this starting race. As we have Nia Kinho. I butchered that name, I'm sorry, but how are you doing tonight? Hopefully you had a great day, great weekend, and hopefully you're here to join us with some spicy action as the rain's going to get heavier in 5 minutes. We'll see if any of these drivers are going to start on wets or if they're going to tough it out and try to stay on the slicks. As we have Hondas for the first 2 rows of the grid. Let's see. As these drivers are now making their way to start their formation lap. That will start the first of 2 races tonight here at Zandvoort. If you're just tuning in, thanks for joining us. Here you're with us at round 4 here at Zandvoort with the Trackilicious GT3 Summer 2022 Championship. We have 2 races for you here tonight. We got a 30-minute race followed by a 45-minute race. Now there will be a 10-minute free practice after the first race, and after the free practice we'll have another 19-minute qualifying session. That qualifying session will lead us into the second race, and the second race will finish off the night. Now, there is no mandatory pit stops for either of these races, so you're good green to green. Only thing that we have to worry about is there is one driver with a penalty, that is Fabiano Penceniak with 10-second time penalty. But I don't believe they are here tonight, so they will serve that next week. As we got greasy conditions to start off this race, it looks like the conditions may dry up a little bit. Well, not dry up, but it may stop raining before the race actually starts. So these greasy conditions, there could be a lot of carnage at the beginning of this race. So hopefully everyone gives each other extra room, extra TC, extra ABS, just extra space. As we are at a damp state of the track right now. It'll stop raining in about 5 minutes. We'll see if any of these brave souls decided to start wets or if they start dries. I would imagine dries, but sometimes you just gotta risk it for the biscuit. As these drivers lining up double file. So see the first two rows of the grid are locked out by Hondas. So they make their way down the main straight as we speak, waiting for the race director to like what they see, and we will get this first race of the evening underway, this 30-minute sprint race here at Zandvoort. So we're just waiting for the green, and we are live, and that is an 89 car. Gets a drive-through for position on pit start as all these drivers spreading out all across the line. We'll see if it's clean going into turn one. So far, so good, as it looks like everyone has made their way relatively clean throughout the first hairpin, as Riley Menier gets a great start over Gage Gonzalez, as Gage Gonzalez overtakes, I believe, no, that's Dominic Duran overtakes up into P2, as there is a lot of yellow towards the back of the field. Oh no. That is not good, as we have Riley Menier, getting a little bit loose there, as the conditions on track are quite difficult right now, as we got the 414 of Matt Artem off. We got the 55 car off again. More yellow towards the back of the field, and that is very unfortunate as we start this race. Riley Menier still leading. It's Dominic Duran close in tow. We've got the 414 car of Matt Artem. It looks like they have retired from the race. See who gets a better exit coming out of this last turn. As it looks like Duran was able to get a better exit, and he's going down the inside of Menier, and they are side by side going into T1. But it looks like Duran is able to hold on to that position for now, and he's going to take the lead in this first race of the evening. As we cross the line, we will see the drama that has action. So we have Santiago Orozco and Marc-Antoine Landry both making up 15 positions already so far. You got Ricardo Rivera dropping down 19, Ross Fallon dropping down 13, and Matt Artem dropping down 15. A very dramatic start to this race, as the conditions were pretty tricky to understand, especially when these drivers probably took dry tires, as it looks like the rain has actually stopped, but the track is still going to be a little damp for the time being. These drivers' tires are going to be cold. as we got Tyler James under fire from Kenneth Portis II, as we got more yellow towards the back of the field. It looks like a couple of these drivers are struggling to keep it on the track or keep it straight on the track. As we got Rivera running wide, and let's Eric Gucas. No, that's being hunted down by Cronotis and Ferreira right now. Looks like Ferreira has the inside line and is gonna pass Cronotis, bumping up to P21. So we got Chris Moses and Mike Burkhoff going at it. Burkhoff's got the inside line going into the T1. But Moses isn't going to back off, and he's going to stay ahead for now. So the opening stages of this race, we actually have Dominic Durant taking the lead of this race. Ed Kerstetter sitting P2 and Riley Manier in P3. For split 2, we got Tyler James in P1, Nico Camden in P2, and Mike Burkhoff in P3. In split 3, we have Bronson Turner in P1. Then we have, I believe it's George Elmer in P2 and Eric Gukasian in P3. As we got Manier and Padberg going at it. Manier stays behind, or stays in front of Padberg for now. Let's jump on board with William Colon being hunted down by Lackany as, ooh, there is a car backwards, and looks like there may have been some contact as there is 2 yellows, but looks like that may have been the 2 car of Tyler James and somebody else. As we got Kenneth Portis and William Colon and Amir Lackany, this train of 3 drivers. But in front, we got Chris Moses, Nico Camden, Mike Burkhoff, Andreas Masachero, and Marc-Antoine Landry. 5 cars within like half a second of each other. Chris Moses leading the pack. It was a very dramatic start of this race. Good thing there is another to kind of bounce back in as Nico Camden runs a little wide but is able to hold on to P9 for now. Let's jump on board with Jarek Snyder. He's being hunted down by Jamison Cusworth. Ooh. Big slide from Cologne. He's able to save it, but he's going to lose 2 positions because of it, as they're going to go 3 wide into the hairpin, or into this right-hander, and William Cologne wants none of it. Backs off and does the smart move, as it looks like Elmer gets passed by Gukasian, but Elmer's got the inside line, so they're going to stay side by side, and Elmer's able to hold on for now, and looks like Gukasian might be hunted down from Rivera now. So we'll see who gets the best exit coming out of this right-hander. As we got Elmer still leading this 3, now 4 train of drivers. See if the slipstream is able to help anybody, and Rivera was thinking about making a move on Gukasian. Oh, and Gukasian, and I believe that was Orozco touch as Orozco was leaving the pit lane. Guess Eric didn't see him as he's going to slot in behind Rivera and in front of Rivera. So we got Cusworth getting by Wolf. As we see Bronson Turner in that 81 McLaren. There is about 4 of them within a second as Turner goes wide and Camden tries to make a move on the inside but doesn't get a good enough exit. Bronson Turner able to hold on to P8 for now, but it looks like Burkhoff might try to challenge Camden on the inside, but it doesn't work out as Camden stays ahead of Burkhoff and Turner stays ahead of Camden. So now we got Kenneth Portis II being hunted down by Tyler James, and Tyler James is going to try to make the move going into turn 1. He's going to have the inside line. We'll see if Portis has anything to say about it. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case as Tyler James gets by Portis. So you got Eric Kakasian being hunted down by that 53 of Rivera. Hey Vivacious, how are you doing tonight, my friend? Hope you're having a good night and hope you had a good weekend. As Eric Kakasian still leading Rivera, but only slightly. Jump on board with Nico Camden and Andreas Mostachero. As the field is starting to spread out a little bit, we got a few... Oh, sorry. We got a few battles still going on track. Closest one being Gukasian and Rivera. Then we also got Camden and Mostachero going at it as Mostachero gets a scorcher of an exit, and Nico Camden, there must be a problem as Camden is going to the pits. Now we got Mike Burkhoff under attack from Marc-Antoine Landry. See if Landry is able to get anything done here as we'll jump back on board with Gukasian and Rivera. I'm doing well, thank you, Vivacious. As we have another battle spicing up, we got Chronotis and Cusworth for P18 and 19. But we still have Burkhoff and Landry going at it. Again, Zandvoort being one of those tracks that it's pretty tricky to overtake in, as we see Rivera flashing Gukasian as they're not in the same class. But Eric is feeling pretty racy. Ooh, and it looks like we're going to be having some more wet conditions coming into play in about 15 minutes. as we will get more rain, as it looks like Rivera's making a move on the inside of Gukasian, and Gukasian doesn't put up much of a defense, and that lets Rivera through. And with this time multiplier being at a 2 times speed, that 15 minutes will be about 7.5 minutes, maybe even less now. As we still have Burkhoff and Landry going at it. As the track is now in a greasy state, but it won't stay there for very long, as it's going to rain again. These drivers started to rain on these drivers before the formation lap even began, but it only rained for like 5-10 minutes. As we have Aaron Koo in the 929 McLaren. They're in the pits, and it seems like they might be counting this one out, sitting this race out. The best part about these short sprint races is that they're double headers, so you may not have a good race in the first one, but you can always bounce back in the second one. As closest battle on track right now is Burkhoff and Landry. As we have Cusworth and Chronotis pretty close now to one another. Ooh, we got Cusworth going wide and Chronotis following a little bit. Is that cool Tyking? How are you doing tonight? And yeah, unfortunately Zandvoort is kinda can be resident sleeper as we reach the halfway point of this first race. Zandvoort being one of those tracks where it's very hard to overtake, so it can get a little boring on track sometimes. As we have a Nico fan in the chat. Am I safe to assume that is Nico Camden, wherever he dropped to? Currently P25. So we got Padberg and Wolf going at it, and Rivera and Cologne. As we reach just over halfway, less than 14 minutes to go in this first race. Track's in a greasy state, and it's going to rain pretty shortly in about 15 in-game minutes, which will be about 7.5 minutes because of the time multiplier. As we got Quad Racer 5. How are you doing tonight? Hope you've been having a good weekend, and Cool Tyking, I hope you've been having a good weekend as well. I don't think I ever asked you that. A sleeper for Nico's race, understandable, as we get Padberg. Looks like Padberg was able to get by Fallon going into T1, as we got Kerstetter and Wolf going at it. Kerstetter able to stay ahead of Wolf, as we got Jacob Padberg still leading Ross Fallon. Then we hop back on board with Mike Burkhoff and Marc-Antoine Landry. It's battle for currently for P6 and 7. As we look, Nico Camden is about 1.5 seconds behind Charles Wolf and about 11 seconds ahead of Amir Lakany. So Marc-Antoine was thinking about making a move on Burkhoff, but slides back in behind. As Burkhoff and Landry still the closest battle on track. As we say that, Portis and Rivera. Rivera closes the gap quite quickly. Still got Portis and Rivera going at it, and we still have Burkhoff and Landry going at it. And it looks like Amir Lackany and Bronson Turner have wanted to spice it up a little bit, and they're now battling as they have a front runner. That is the front runner of, I believe, Gage Gonzalez in front of these two drivers, or behind these two drivers, sorry. So we'll see if Gage can get a better exit and maybe make a move going into turn one, but it looks like Lackany and Turner are going to make a move, and it looks like Gonzalez thinks better than to send it 3 wide, as it looks like Turner is able to get by by Lackany, as we see Gonzalez trying to get by Lackany as well, as it looks like Gonzalez was able to get in front of Lackany, and now Gonzalez has his sights on Turner. As we got Rivera overtaking Portis going down the main straight. Rivera slots in behind. As now we got Moses, Burkhoff, and Landry. P5, 6, and 7 all within half a second of each other. One small mistake for Moses could cost him 2 positions. And I don't think they would have started on wets, well, like a wet setup. It was weird. Like, it's a 2 times multiplier, and it started raining before it started the formation lap, and the rain only lasted like 5 to 10 minutes. So it was a questionable start, but it was a fairly clean start, at least turn 1. I still have Moses, Burkhoff, and Landry going at it. But we'll jump back on board with Jamison Cusworth and Jarek Snyder. Looks like Cusworth has to take the more inside line, as Snyder was thinking about the switchback, but Cusworth able to put his car exactly where he needed. And is Snyder going to make a move on the inside? He thinks better of it, but he's just letting him know he's there. So now we'll jump on board with Ferreira and Thompson. Both of these BMWs. We'll see if Thompson can get anything done going down the main straight. But Ferreira is going to get a little bit of a tow from George Elmer ahead. Doesn't look like Thompson's going to be able to get anything done going down that main straight. As we have the 89 car of Jamison Cusworth and Jarek Snyder still going at it. And Cusworth runs a little wide, and Snyder's got the inside. But Cusworth is able to hold on for now, as Cusworth has to take the inside line going into the hairpin. So these two drivers are still bumper to bumper. Ooh, and it looks like Snyder's going to try to make a move on the inside, and looks like he's able to hold it for now. He's able to get by, and he's able to stick onto it. Jack Snyder getting past Jamison Cusworth for P17. As a couple more battles start brewing up, as we still have Moses, Burkhoff, and Landry, and Moses currently stuck behind the back marker of Amir Lackany, as Lackany kind of gets out of the way. And he does. Lets all three drivers go by without problem as we jump on board with Tyler James, who gets passed by Ricardo Rivera down the main straight. And now we got Kukassian being challenged by Elmer as Eric taking the defensive line going down the main straight. Elmer's going to have to take the outside line going around turn 1. A little bit of a squeeze from Eric, but they don't touch as the two BMWs touch in the background. That is Thompson and Ferreira, but Eric is still leading and is leading these four drivers in P13. As we got Padberg and Kerstetter. Padberg is just slipping ahead of Kerstetter. So we see Chronotis in the background there. Little bit of a slide from there from Padberg. So now we got Moses. Looks like Burkhoff is trying to make a move onto Moses and isn't able to make it stick. But Burkhoff is going to have the inside line going into this right-hander. And is Landry going to follow through? And he does. And that's going to let Burkhoff ahead and Landry ahead of Moses. And Moses loses out 2 positions there. But we'll see if he tries to challenge back going down the main straight. Doesn't look like he was thinking about it, but it doesn't look like he was able to make it happen. As we got Tyler James being hunted down by William Colon. Ooh, and it looks like Colon is going to have a go at the inside. So make their way down the main straight, and I believe Colon is going to take the position. As we got Elmer and Gukassian going side by side down the right-hander with Thompson close in tow. You also got Ferreira. You got Elmer, Gukassian, Thompson, Ferreira, and Snyder. All really close to one another as the BMW runs a little wide. And he was in the sand. I mean, it might have, but I don't think you'd take wets, but it would be tricky to make the right call, that's for sure. So we still got Eric leading these 4 drivers as it looks like George Elmer has built himself a little bit of a gap to Eric Kukassian with under 5 minutes left here to go in the opening race. Ooh, as we have Ferreira and Snyder going side by side, and there is 6 drivers here. Ooh, a little bit of contact, a little bit of shoving. Oh, and the McLaren gets forced wide. That is the McLaren of Jacob Thompson, and he's going to lose out a couple positions. As Eric Kukassian still leads this pack. As a few more drivers start to enter the mix, as it is now raining again on track. This is going to make the conditions even harder, as it looks like Snyder's making a move on the inside. He's going to back off as Kerstetter is going to send it on the outside, and he's going to make it past Snyder and maybe Kukassian, as it looks like Kerstetter was actually able to get by and is able to make it happen. A huge exit from Ed Kerstetter there, as we still have Kukassian leading Jarek Snyder slightly. Ooh, and Snyder makes a lunge on the inside, and let's see if he's able to make it stick. And it looks like he is for now, as Jarek Snyder takes P15, but going around the S's could be dangerous. Side by side, especially in the wet track, a damp track. Side by side with Kukassian and Padberg. They keep it clean as Padberg's going to stay ahead. And Thompson slots in behind Kukassian for now, but he might try to make a move on the inside. And it looks like he tried to stick his nose in but wasn't able to. Kukassian's still able to hold on. But it looks like he might run wide here, and he doesn't. He parks it perfectly where he needs to be. And he's still holding on to P17 for now. As we will take a look at Mike Burkhoff and Marc-Antoine Landry as they make their way down the S's. There'll only be about one more lap after this one. Drivers are running out of time to make the moves happen here in this opening race. We'll see if Landry can claw himself back into the top 5 after starting from the back of the grid. So we've got Snyder and Padberg going at it. And the leader, Riley Manier, just started the final lap of the race. There's Snyder going on the inside of Elmer, and Elmer just letting these two drivers by. Looks like there may have been a little bit of a bump between Snyder and Padberg. Snyder able to keep it facing the right way and able to save himself a little bit. So we still have this battle between Burkhoff and Landry going at it, but Burkhoff still rounding out that top 5, but Landry's going to want that. As your race leader, Riley Manier has about a 7-second gap on Quinn Smith, who's in P2, and Dominic Duran in P3. In split 2, let's see what we got going on. We got Mike Burkhoff leading the pack with P1 in split 2 right now. Then you have William Colon in P2 and Tyler James in P3. You got George Elmer leading the split 3 crowd, followed by Eric Kukossian and Jack Thompson in P3. Still anybody's game for P1 for these split 1 driver or split 3 drivers. As Riley Manier is about to cross the line. And Riley Manier is going to take the race victory here as Quinn Smith and Dominic Duran. Oh! A huge spin. As he's going to get passed by Gage Gonzalez. And he's going to lose out only 1 position. But that is a heartbreak. Or 2 positions, I guess, from Quinn Smith and Dominic Duran, as we got Riley Manier, Dominic Duran, Gage Gonzalez, Quinn Smith, Mike Burkhoff, Marc-Antoine Landry, Chris Moses, Andreas Mostachero, Ricardo Rivera. It's about to cross the line now. We got a couple back markers in the mix crossing the line. Rivera P9, Tyler James and Kenneth Portis II coming around the final turn as we speak. But it looks like Tyler James is going to... Oh my goodness, what the heck? Tyler James in P10 and Kenneth Portis II in P11. William Colon P12. As we're going to have Ed Kerstetter in P13. What is the 66 car doing? Who is the 66 car? That's Amir Lackany. Oh, they crossed the line now. Okay. As we see Kerstetter and cross the line, we got Jacob Padberg running a little wide and may lose out here. 14 for Padberg, 15 for Kukossian, 16 Snyder. You got George Elmer, P17, Jack Thompson in P18, Jamison Cusworth, P19. We're going to have Ross Fallon in P20, Andy Yoke in P21, and I don't know if Wolf crossed the line yet. So Andy Yoke crosses the line. But no, we still have Wolf and Orozco. That must have been heartbreaking for Quinn Smith at the end, losing out 2 positions, going from P2 to P4. Now I would expect, yeah, it's unfortunate, as we're waiting for these final 2 drivers to cross the line. A very difficult first race here tonight with very difficult conditions. Charles Wolfe is just trying to limp that McLaren back to the pits, or back to across the line for the final time, as they're probably on dries right now. As we have the 3 car of Santiago Orozco crossing the line. Now we're just waiting on the 188 of Charles Wolfe coming around the final corner now. He's going to cross the line, and that will be your first race. Which, interesting. Perfect. As that is race 1. I appreciate the compliment, cool taking. But don't go anywhere. We still have another race after this. We'll have a quick 10-minute break for these drivers to get a good stretching, get some liquid in them, get some snacks in them. And then we'll be to our second qualifying session after the free practice, and then we'll be in our second race of the evening. But there we have it. We have Riley Manier, P1, Dominic Duran, P2, and Gage Gonzalez in P3. Split 2, we got Mike Burkhoff in P1, Tyler James in P2, and William Colon in P3. You have Eric Akasian taking the P1 for Split 3. George Elmer in P2, and P3 you got Jack Thompson. That is your first race here at Zandvoort. Got one more race to go, a 45-minute race here in about half an hour, as we have a free practice and a qualifying session. As we now start the second free practice, we have about 10 minutes, and it looks like it's going to get a little wet again. But it looks like it's at the nighttime where it's 3 a.m. Very early morning. 17 degrees ambient, 17 degrees on track. Track is still greasy, with rain in the forecast. Alright, folks, we'll put you with the 99 car for now, and I'm going to take a quick breather and be with you in just a few moments. If I can find the 99 car, there we go. Alright, welcome back folks. Just over 3 minutes left of free practice 2 and we will be in our second qualifying session for our second race of the evening. Hope everyone enjoyed that first race of the evening. And thanks everyone again for tuning in here tonight, spending your Sunday evening here with us at Trackilicious. As it is now starting to rain a little bit in practice. So now we're in max wait time. There should be only a small amount of time until we get back into qualifying. Let's see, it should be Mostachero coming across the line for the final time, and a big spin from him, but it was a good save, but not good enough to keep it on track. As it looks like we'll have a dry qualifying again, and hopefully another dry, and hopefully a dry race. As we got XL Variable Cod. How are you doing tonight? Thanks for tuning in. As we have about 30 seconds until the split 3 drivers will come out. If you missed the first race, it was very tricky conditions as it started raining before the formation lap started, and it rained for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then it stopped raining, and then it rained again like the last 2 minutes. So it was pretty wild. As we see the GT, or not GT, but the split 3 drivers start making their way out. Got the 56 driver, whoever that is. Jack Thompson leading the pack. And I am doing well, thank you. Just, enjoying some racing. As Jack Thompson comes across the line, he's going to start his first flyer of the session. He's going to be the first driver to start a flyer of the session. Now, if you're wondering why not everybody is out on track right now, so, as we saw, the number 27 of Riley Manier got disqualified, but then got cleared in an attempt to probably solve the yellow flag, but that clearly didn't work, unfortunately. But it was a 19-minute qualifying session. The first minute, no drivers are to be on track as it's for setup changes. So then you'll have at the 18-minute mark, after the first minute expires, you'll have the split 3 drivers out, which is what we have now. From 18 minutes to 12 minutes, the split 3 drivers will be out on track, and just the split 3 drivers. At the 12-minute mark, the split 2 drivers will come out, and then it will just be them on track from the 12-minute to the 6 minutes mark, and then at the 6-minute mark, it will just be split 1 drivers to the checkered flag. Yeah, I mean, as long as your skills are getting better and not worse, I'd say that's great. It'd be a little different if, you were getting worse somehow. But Jack Thompson crosses the line P1 with a 138.760. Sets the bar as we got the 89 car about to cross the line. And that is a couple more drivers coming across the line. We got Jack Thompson getting dethroned, as we got George Elmer coming across the line with a 138.520. And he gets dethroned by Andy Oak. Andy Oak with a 130... No. Bronson Turner. What is going on? We got Bronson Turner taking provisional pole with a 137.552, followed by Aaron Kuhn with a 137.645. P3, we got George Elmer with a 138.520. P4, we got Jack Thompson with a 138.760. P5, Andy Oak with a 139.077. P6, Eric Kukasi with a 140.480. P7, you got Jamison Cusworth with a 140.592. In P8, we have Charles Wolf with a 140.937. And in P9, we have Santiago Orozco with 149.890. It's Jack Thompson. He looks like he's going to cross the line and currently 7/10 up on their Delta. Definitely jump. This will jump him up to, I believe it'll P3. And it does with a 137.972. Jumps up to P3 as we got the number 5 car of Eric Kukasian. 1.6 seconds up on their Delta. This is definitely a hefty gain, but maybe only to P5. And quickly gets dethroned to P6. As we have one more lap for, looks like each one of these drivers before the split 2 guys come out. Aaron Kuhn currently unable to improve his last time. He's got one more shot at it though, as we've got the 188 of Charles Wolfe. Goes about 2/10 quicker, up to still in P8, as they bail and their qualifying is finished. It seems like they had they had enough time for one more lap, as we see the split 2 drivers start queuing up in the pit lane, as they will be free in 3, 2, 1, and they are good to go as we see them leaving the pits. So we got Jack Thompson. Currently even with their Delta. Currently sitting P4. And it looks like they are not going to be able to improve this lap, and they are going to stay P4 as it stands. As we got a couple more drivers. We got Eric Kukasian leading this pack of 3 drivers, currently sitting P6, but as about, I think he's down by about half a tenth. As we got Andy Oak, who's up about half a tenth. Andy Oak is gonna jump up to P5 with a 138, 110. Who do we got? We got the 3 of Santiago Orozco, currently 3/10 up on their. Something just broke, but they're going to cross the line with a 141, 520. Unable to improve their position, but they are able to improve their time. That's going to round out the split 3 drivers. As we have Bronson Turner taking P1, Aaron Kuhn taking P2, George Elmer in P3, Jack Thompson in P4, Andy Yoke in P5, Eric Kukasian in P6. We're going to have Jamison Cusworth in P7, Charles Wolfe in P8, and in P9 you got Santiago Orozco as the 55 car of Ross Fallon crosses the line to start their first flyer, to first of 2 second split, sorry, of 3. I don't know why my mind just drew a blank there, but anyways. So I don't know about if there's like actual setups per se, but you could find videos kind of explaining setups. You might, yeah. And as for PS4, I know it's a little different. Like, I don't know if you can exchange setups on a PS4. Whereas in PC, I could send a preset to somebody in like 5 seconds. Or not a preset, but I could send a setup to somebody. But if you... My best advice would just be to look at like a video on YouTube or something that'll, you know, it'll kind of set up help. Give me 2 seconds and all. Let me see if I can find Yeah, so if you just look up like a setup guide on YouTube, the first one that comes up is Overtake GG, featuring Jardier, which Jardier is pretty rapid, and he somehow talks to you while being rapid. I don't know how he does it. But anyways, I would just try to find a video explaining setups a little bit, especially on PS4, as a couple of the times come up. As we got Tyler James taking top of the charts. Nico Camden P2, William Colon in P3. You got Ross Fallon in P4, Snyder in P5, Chronotis in P6, Lackany in P7 so far. As we currently have the 55 car, Ross Fallon, they're down on their time, but they're going to have another shot to go. So we've got the 48 car of William Colon, who's about even on their delta. Unable to improve, but we got Tyler James sets another fastest lap with a 136.927. 74 car of Burkhoff crosses the line with a 136.735, taking provisional pole. You have the 66 car of Amir Lackany with a 139.095, currently landing in P14. You got the 85 car of someone. Their qualifying is finished, and it looks like the 42 car of Professor Chronotis is finished as well. That's Jarek Schneider, 85, Chronotis, 42. Currently sitting P9 and P10. And no problem. Sorry I wasn't too much of help, as I don't have a PS4, and you obviously can't get as many resources as you can on a PC, unfortunately. As Ross Fallon is making his way towards the final two right-handers. See if they're able to improve at all. It looks like they're about 3/10 up on their delta, which this will jump them to about maybe 4th, maybe 5th. And it jumps them up to 4th with a 137.390. So it's 38 car crosses, the 2 car crosses, the 74 car crosses, and Mike Burkhoff crosses, taking pole back. We'll see if the 66 car of Amir Lackany can do anything from P14, and Amir Lackany stays in P14. But that is your split 2 qualifying. Mike Burkhoff taking pole position, followed by Tyler James in P2, William Colon in P3, Nico Camden in P4, Ross Fallon in P5. You got Jarek Snyder in P6, Professor Chronotis in P7, Amir Lackany in P8. As the split 1 drivers start to make their way out, and there are quite a few of them on the track right now, as the 84 car of Kenneth Portis II leads the pack as they're starting to set up their final lap, or their first lap of the session. As he comes around that banked hairpin as we speak, and down through the S's along a long windy part of the track. My sights are set on Marc-Antoine Landry. See where they end up, because Landry hopped in at the end of qualifying before the first race, so they started from the back and they finished P6, unable to get by Mike Burkhoff at the end. Landry has proved to be proper rapid in that Lamborghini of his. As Kenneth Portis is going to cross the line first from P18 all the way to P1 with a 136 as he gets quickly dethroned by Kerstetter, and Kerstetter quickly dethroned by Landry. Landry with a 136.350, Kerstetter with a 136.392, and Portis with a 136.557. Just over 2 tenths between the top three right now, and just under a tenth between top two. As we see Raza come across the line in P6, we got Ferreira in P12, Mostachero P13. As we got Rivera jumping up to P2 with a 36.380, Kerstetter up to P3 with a 36.392. We see Moses coming up with a 136.5. Quinn Smith gets dethroned to P10 with a 137.097 as Gage Gonzalez crossed the line with a 136.887. Ollie Raza P8 currently with a 136.840. Renato Ferreira currently P15 with a 137.430, followed by Andreas Mostachero with 137.442. Matt Artem with a 138.527 P23. Riley Manier in P28 at the moment with a 141.215. Jeez, you are a trooper, variable COD. Get some sleep, man. But good night, man. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for lurking as Ed Kerstetter takes provisional pole with a 135.897, overtaking Landry. Let's see, we got Jacob Padberg sneaking up to P7 with a 136.575, and Riley Manier takes provisional pole away from Ed Kerstetter with a 135.432, over 4.5 tenths up on Ed Kerstetter. Scorcher of a lap from him. As with all these drivers are on their final lap of the session now, we'll see if any of them are able to shake the starting grid up a little bit. So we see Kenneth Portis, the second Crossland, are going around the final two turns as we hit max wait time, and this is where it counts. This is where it needs to be, and Kenneth from 5th to 3rd with that lap, and Ed Kerstetter also able to improve but not able to improve enough as Riley Manier still over top of him. So we see Padberg cross the line P7, Raza P10. We got Carter Rivera coming across the line from P6. Doesn't improve as, who is that? That's Quinn Smith. P5, we got the 21 car, Duran in 17th. The 36 car of Chris Moses, P7, stays in P7, and the 414 car, the final car. I don't even know who that is. Matt Artem, I believe, actually, and they're in P22. As that rounds out our qualifying session. So now we're in the session start time until we start the second race of the evening. Do a quick grid rundown for the second and final time of the evening. We got Riley Manier in P1, and Ed Kerstetter alongside him in P2. P3 and P4, you got Kenneth Porras II and Marc-Antoine Landry. In P5, you got Quinn Smith, Ricardo Rivera in P6. 7th, you got Chris Moses. 8th, you got Jacob Padberg. 9th is Gage Gonzalez. And in 10th, you got Ollie Raza. P11, and your split 2 pole setter, Mike Burkhoff. Alongside him, you got Tyler James, P2 for split 3. Or split 2. You got Andreas Mostachero in P13, William Colon in P14, Nico Camden in P15, Renato Ferreira 16, Dominic Duran at 17, and you have Bronson Turner starting P18, and that is split 3 pole setter. Alongside him, you have Ross Fallon and Aaron Cood and George Elmer behind them. You got Matt Ardham in 22, Jarek Snyder in 23, Cronotis in 24, Jack Thompson in 25, Andy Yoke in 26, Eric Kakasian in 27, Amir Lackney in 28, Jameson Cusworth in 29, Charles Wolfe in 30th, and last but not least, we have Santiago Orozco starting P31. Now, this is a slightly longer race than the first race, so you'll have a little bit more time to make up positions, but it is in the dark. 11 p.m. It's not going to get bright at any time soon. But fortunately, it doesn't look like there's going to be any rain in the forecast for now. We'll see what the start of the race brings and the rest of the race brings. So we still have about 45 seconds left to go before we start this formation lap. As these drivers start the formation lap. as we have an optimum track, 18 degrees ambient, 18 degrees on the track. Drivers are starting to line up side by side. So make their way around the final turn. Riley and Ed lining up side by side. We'll see who can get a better start and who can lead this race towards the opening lap. As we get the green flag and no drive-through penalties for being out of position, but we got Riley Manier and Ed Kerstetter. Looks like Riley Manier is going to get the better start. Ed Kerstetter is forced to go around the outside, and Manier is going to get a good start and is able to pull ahead as the drivers start to file in, single file, as quickly as possible. As there's a bit of yellow towards the back of the field between the 74 car, the 30 car, couple of cars, and Mike Burkhoff looks like got the worst of it, and couple more cars. Still yellow towards the back of the field, but Riley Manier still leading this race. Ed Kerstetter close in tow. Kenneth Boris second in P3. Marc-Antoine Landry P4, and Quinn Smith in P5. There is a pretty big gap between some of these drivers now, as we got the 53 car of Ricardo Rivera. There is a lot of yellow towards the back of the field here. Oh no. A lot of yellow as Ed Kerstetter actually makes it by Riley Manier, but Manier is going to challenge him on the inside. Ed Kerstetter getting the inside, going around this hairpin. And Ed Kerstetter is going to hold on to the lead for now. So make their way around these two right-handers. Ed Kerstetter leading, followed by Riley Manier. Kenneth Boris second, and Marc-Antoine Landry. Quinn Smith and Ricardo Rivera close in tow, but that is all that is close for these front runners, as that incident earlier on really spread the field out a little bit. As it seems like there may be a lot of DNFs this race. As we still have Ed Kerstetter leading, with Portis being hunted down by Landry. So we got Cologne and Padberg going at it, side by side right now. As the 99 car of Renato Ferreira looks like they're off, and they return to garage, it seems like. As William Cologne gets passed by Nico Camden, I believe. So we got Charles Wolf and Santiago Orozco going at it here for P16 and P17. When Santiago was thinking of making a move on the inside of Wolf. Oh, and it looks like Orozco may have clipped Wolf there, but I don't know. As Orozco gets by Wolf. Great recovery from Wolf, keeping it straight, but very unfortunate what happened to him, as we have Ed Kerstetter still leading this race, followed by Riley Manier, and then Kenneth Portis the second in P3. Right now, the closest battle is between P1 and P2 right now, between Kerstetter and Manier. It's a pretty messy start to the race, as we are about 5 minutes into it now. And between P1 and P6, there's about 4.5 seconds, and then that is about it. And then you got about 5 seconds between P6 and P7. But right now we got Tyler James and Jacob Padberg going at it. 2 McLarens for P9 and P10. Padberg right on the rear wing of James, and he's gonna go wide and let Camden go through, but it looks like Padberg's able to hold on to position for now. But we'll jump back on board with Orozco and Jarek Snyder. Orozco with that Tacos Locos AMR. And it looks like he's going to go wide and let Jarek Snyder go through. So now we'll jump back on board with Tyler James and Jacob Padberg. Ooh, Padberg was side by side with Tyler James, and looks like Padberg is going to have the inside line going into turn 1. And it looks like Padberg is going to climb up to P9. James in P10 and Nico Camden right on the tail in P11. We'll jump up to P3 with Portis and Landry, about 2/10 between them. And the 99 car gets a 30-second stop go for speeding in the pits. And they just returned to garage. Just the 188 car gets a stop go for speeding in the pits. 188 car of Charles Wolf. But Portis and Landry still going hard at it for the final podium position. As we got Andy Oak and Mike Burkhoff going at it now. The 720 McLaren versus the 74 Honda. And it looks like Burkhoff is going to get a great exit on Oak here. But Oak's going to have the inside line. But it looks like Burkhoff's actually going to clear Oak going into turn 1. So Burkhoff is going to be able to hold on and make the move stick for now. And jumps himself up to P14 as we jump back with Kenneth Portis and Marc-Antoine Landry. As Portis still leading Landry. Kerstetter has about a second, just over a second on Manier, and Manier just over a second on Portis. And then Portis to Landry is only 2/10. Going down this main straight, Portis may have to take a defensive line. But, oh, Landry's thinking about making a move. He thinks about it, but he slots back in behind Portis and slots back in behind. Doesn't make the move. Doesn't need to force it. And while these two have been fighting, Quinn Smith has slowly made his way and made himself a contender for this battle for P3. About 6/10 between the two of them. Or three of them, sorry. Portis still leading this train of 3 drivers. We'll see if this gives Rivera any time to catch up a little bit. But Rivera currently about 5, almost 6 seconds now behind Quinn Smith. As Portis and Landry going down the main straight again. We'll see if Landry makes the move. He shows himself in the mirrors of Portis and slots back in behind. Just can't get close enough to make a lunge or make the move going into turn 1. As we got James and Camden going down the main straight, and oh, Camden tried to pinch it and almost lost it going back to the outside line, and Camden's going to go wide. That was a very ambitious move from Camden, and it does not work out in his favor. Ooh, as we now have Landry being hunted down by Quinn Smith, but Landry still needing to get by Portis. This battle for P3 is really started to get close, as we'll see if Landry can get a better exit coming out of this final turn and maybe make the move this time going down the main straight. And he thinks about it, and he's making his presence known, trying to force Kenneth into making a mistake. Doesn't look like that's been working these past couple laps, but maybe one of these times he'll catch him off guard. As we have Jamison Cusworth and Dominic Duran. Ooh, a little bit of contact between them. They both keep it straight, but Cusworth is going to hold on to the position for now. So we'll jump back on board with Andreas Bostachero and Jacob Padberg for P8 and P9. Ooh, and that is the 42 car of Chronotis. Getting a little bit loose and able to keep it clean, but Jamison Cusworth and Dominic Duran going at it again. Duran's making a move on the inside going to turn 1. Just has enough room and gets through as Duran takes P20, dropping Cusworth down to P21. As we got Mostachero and Padberg still going at it. Around these two right-handers. We'll see if Padberg can get a good enough run coming down this main straight with this helpless slipstream. Doesn't look like it's going to be the case, as the top speed of that Lexus is just too good. As we will jump back on board with Nico Camden being hunted down by Ross Fallon for P11 and P12. So we got Cusworth and Thompson going at it now. Looks like Thompson's going to try to make a move on the inside here, but he's going to back off, and Cusworth is going to hold on to position for now as we jump back on board with Andreas Mostachero and Jacob Padberg. Mostachero still leading Padberg, as Padberg unable to get by, or unable to get close enough to get by. Let's jump back on board with Cusworth and Thompson. It looks like Thompson, he's got the inside line going into turn 1, and he may have Cusworth going into turn 1. A little bit of bumping between these two drivers, but they keep it clean enough, and Jack Thompson is going to take P21, sending Cusworth down to P22. Just want to thank everyone for tuning in here with us tonight. For spending your Sunday evening here with us at Trackilicious for our Sunday GT3 Championship. Round 4 at Zandvoort. As we see in the background there, Landry runs a little wide, and Quinn Smith is able to capitalize on that mistake. That sends Landry down to P5. And Quinn Smith up at a P4. As again, we have Andreas Mostachero and Padberg. Padberg making a move down the inside. And he slots back in behind. He thinks better of it and slots in behind Mostachero for now. And I'll have to try again. Alright, the field is getting a little spread out as we've got Quinn Smith and Landry right now, the closest battle on track, followed by Mostachero and Padberg. As Padberg gets real close to Mostachero, but he just can't do anything about it, as he was thinking about maybe sending a move on the inside, but Mostachero closed the door on him, unable to make the move happen, and just has to stay behind him for now and look for an opportunity to strike. And cool taking, no problem. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for staying here and enjoying. As now we got Portis and Quinn Smith going at it, with Landry lurking in the background there as they're running into some backmarker traffic up ahead, which this could be costly if you're Portis. But we'll see if these drivers get out of the way. But we see Cusworth, that's Thompson, still trying to hunt down Cusworth. Cusworth and Johnson or Thompson are battling for position as Portis gets by, and it looks like Quinn Smith gets by. We'll see if Landry can get by. It looks like Landry gets by, and there's going to be a little bit of a bump between Landry and Thompson. They're going to stay on track. But the BMW is not letting up. But there's 8 tenths between Portis, Smith, and Landry, but they're not done yet as they have another back marker in front of them. As it looks like Smith was maybe thinking about making a move onto Portis there as they make the right-hander, but slots in behind. We'll see if this Lexus just gobbles up his Honda on the straight. With the double slipstream and the top speed of that Lexus, the Honda is going to take the defensive line, but Quinn Smith was thinking about making it 3 wide, but Cusworth gets out of the way, and we're going to see Portis, Smith, and Landry all get through the back marker there, as that could have been an interesting turn of events, as Portis, Smith, and Landry are still bumper to bumper right now. See the back marker of George Elmer just getting out of the way. All 3 of them able to sneak by relatively clean. Ooh, and these 3 drivers are getting a little antsy. Oh my goodness, that is a bold move from Quinn Smith going down the inside of the back marker, and Landry and Smith now side by side. And Landry is able to take P4 away from Quinn Smith for now. Jesus, that was ambitious, and they keep it clean as we reach the halfway through point of the race. Oh my goodness, I almost had a heart attack just from watching that. As we got Landry and Quinn Smith and Portis, and there's Aaron Kuhn on the outside just letting these 3 drivers go by. I wouldn't be surprised if there is an accident between these 3 drivers before the end of the race, as these guys are pushing their cars to the absolute limit. Portis still in 3rd, Landry jumping up to P4, and Quinn Smith dropping down to P5. Holy, and as we calm down from this action a little bit for now, we'll go jump on board with Nico Camden and Ross Fallon for P11 and P12. Getting caught up with the back marker of Bronson Turner a little bit, but they get by no problem, and we'll make their way around the banked hairpin. We'll also jump back with Jamison, Cusworth, and Thompson for P21 and P22. Porsche versus the BMW. As it looks like Thompson is going to maybe try sending it on the outside, but unable to make it happen, as Cusworth is still going to hang on to this position for now. So we'll jump back on board with Portis and Landry. And Smith. Got the back markers of Gukasian and Kuhn behind. We'll see if Landry or Smith are able to do anything going down this main straight. Doesn't look like they're going to be close enough, but Smith is making his presence known again to Kenneth. Ooh, and Kenneth seems like he may have slowed down a little bit more than Landry expected, and Landry almost bumped in the back of Portis, but his quick reaction time, he was able to brake and not slam into the back of him. Very good awareness from Landry there, as these three battle, the battle between these three still going at it hard, as Nico Camden and Ross Fallon are going to go side by side into turn one. Camden's going to have the inside lines, which he should be able to hold this no problem, as he's still going to hold on to his position for now. As we got Ricardo Rivera and Ollie Raza getting caught up in some backmarker traffic there. It looks like Rivera might try to send it on the inside of these guys. He sends it on the inside of Thompson, and Raza is going to try to follow through, but he's not going to be able to hold it for now. And Rivera is going to try to get past Thompson, and they're going to touch a little bit, and that's going to give Raza the outside line. But Rivera is going to have the inside and is going to be able to hold on to the position for now. So we'll jump back on board with Camden and Fallon. Got Bronson Turner right behind them, but Turner is a back marker at the moment. But it looks like they're... This has been a very intense race for these front runners. A couple of close battles towards the back of the pack as well. As we got Rivera and Raza. Rivera's taken the defensive line going into turn one. And Rivera's going to hold on to his position for now. Raza unable to make the move happen. So we'll jump back on board between P3, P4, and P5. These three drivers unable to shake each other. As we got a tiny bit of breathing room, we'll do a quick podium walk down. We got Ed Kerstetter P1, Riley Manier P2, and Kenneth Portis in P3. In, let's see, who do we got? We got Tyler James for Split 2 in P1, Nico Camden in P2, and Ross Fallon in P3. I believe Andy Oak is your Split 3 leader, followed by Eric Ukasian in P2 and Aaron Kuhn in P3. As we still have this battle between P3 and P5. But it looks like Portis is pulled away a little bit while Landry is under fire from Quinn Smith now. But as this battle has been going on the entire race, Riley Manier has now gotten to under a second between himself and Ed Kerstetter, the race leader. As we got Camden and Fallon still going at it. as this train of 3 drivers, they're unable to shake one another, and they're unable to pass one another. It's been the story of their lives this second race. As now it seems like Quinn Smith has fallen back a little bit, while Landry is making a move on the outside of Smith, or Portis. But Portis is able to hold on and stay ahead for now, but Landry has been putting pressure on him. As we will jump back with Eric Gukasian and Aaron Kuhn right now. The 2 McLarens going at it. Eric forced to take the defensive line, but it looks like he's going to let Kuhn go by. Kuhn is going to take the position away from Eric Gukasian. As he lets Ollie Raza, he lets Ollie Raza go by, it looks like. So Ollie Raza currently sitting P6 with Rivera close behind. But at least has a 1-car buffer now between the 2 of them. As it looks like Portis, Landry, and Smith still going hard at it. Camden and Fallon still going at it with Cusworth in the mix. Cusworth a back marker, but looks like they get out of the way, and Camden's able to hold on while Fallon close in tow. With just over 13 minutes to go in the second race of the evening, you have your race leader, Ed Kerstetter, followed by Riley Manier, and in third you got Kenneth Portis II. As this battle between Wait. What happened to Landry? Did he disconnect? Wow, that's unfortunate. Wow, that sucks. No wonder. Okay. Somehow Landry is... Not somehow, but Landry disconnected. And that puts Quinn Smith up to P4, Raza to P5, and Rivera to P6. We've got Aaron Kuhn and Gukasian going at it. Gukasian going down the inside, and Gukasian's going to have the inside line going to T1. He's going to make the move as Kuhn hits the curve a little bit. It's going to slow him down a little bit, and Eric is able to take the position. As we still have Camden and Fallon going at it. Let's see, the field is pretty split right now. We got Portis and Smith. Smith is starting to close the gap on Portis a little bit, but still a little bit behind, about half a second behind. As we have Mostachero and James going side by side, and looks like Mostachero is able to, I believe, hold on to the position. as we'll see what has happened throughout the beginning of this race. So we have Ed Kerstetter starting P2, currently leading, and you have Riley Manier, who took pole position and currently in P2. Kenneth Portis II has started in P3 and is still P3. You got Quinn Smith, who started P5 and is up one position into P4. Raza started P10 and is up to P5 right now. Santiago Orozco started P31 and is up 15 spots right now. What a gain from him since the beginning of this race, and there is still but 10 minutes to go. As Masachero and James still going at it. So we've got Nico Camden and Fallon still going at it. Camden still leading this driver. It's less than 10 minutes to go here. Ooh, and it seems like the 188 car of Charles Wolfe. Wonder what happened there, whether if it was contact between them and the 85 or if he just lost it. Doesn't really matter to us right now, as we have Raza and Rivera going at it. Raza clinching that final top 5 spot at the moment. See if Raza can get, or Rivera can get a better exit coming out of this final turn, and maybe he can catch him down the main straight, or at least force Raza on the defensive line. Doesn't look like Rivera's going to get close enough to make a move. Jump back on board with Mostachero and Tyler James as they're catching up to the back marker of Jack Thompson. Seems like they may get him here on the main straight. Doesn't look like they'll have enough speed, as they're going to have to stay behind Thompson for now. See if James tries anything crazy, as Masachero actually runs a little wide, and they're going to go side by side. But James has the inside line. They're going to keep it clean. Maybe a little bit of touching there, but Andreas is able to hold on to it for now. But James is close on his trail. And this BMW, Andreas must be getting a little frustrated, as this BMW may cost him a position in the end. Oh, and a big touch from James onto Mostachero, and gets passed by Camden as well. Now luckily they're not fighting for position, but Andreas is not going to be happy about that one. So we got Portis and Quinn Smith going at us. Fallon and Camden are going to go side by side. And I think Camden is able to make the pass. Gets by Fallon and jumps up to P9. Still got Raza and Rivera. 5 minutes left to go, and they're battling it out for this final top 5 position. Ed Kerstetter has built himself a nice, just under 3-second gap to Munir in P2. And Portis and Smith still within half a second of each other. We'll see if anyone is able to make anything happen within these closing stages of the second race. As we're closing down on the end of this race, we'll like to thank everybody for tuning in, for spending your Sunday evening here with us. Hope the races have been action-packed for you, and hopefully the stream's been good to you. So we have less than 4 minutes left to go, and there are still a few battles on track, including Portis and Smith, Raza and Rivera, and Camden and Fallon. Camden's getting stuck behind the back marker of Jack Thompson. Ooh, and Camden sending it on the inside of Thompson there. And is Thompson going to let James by as well? But Camden's going to run wide, and that may give James an opportunity, or Fallon, to attack. And Fallon and Camden are going side by side, and they touch. And that is going to send Fallon a far way back. You hate to see it. But we'll jump back on board with Portis and Smith. Still within like 0.2 of each other. Racer X, how are you doing tonight? Don't know if you just got here, but you're tuning in for the final couple minutes of our second race of the evening. The first one had worse conditions, but the second one had worse incidents. And I am glad to hear that, Racer X. As we still have Portis and Smith going at it. And Raza and Rivera coming across the line. Ed Kerstetter, maybe, it looks like they may be starting the final lap of the race. Coming across the line this time around. And I believe that is the case. As Raza still leads Rivera. Yeah, there's been a lot of good racing. Between P3, P4, and P5, it was really close, but unfortunately Landry, who was the P4 guy, he disconnected. So it was Portis, Landry, and Smith. They were within each other for like within a second of each other basically the entire race until Landry disconnected, which is unfortunate, but unlucky. Mick Croat, thank you for the raid. How did the stream go, and what were you streaming? Were you streaming ACC, iRacing, something racing related, or just something completely out of the blue? And we got Yogi in the chat now. How are you doing, Yogi? As we still have Raza and Rivera going at it. Again, Raza's been leading Rivera basically this entire race, and they've been within half a second of each other most of the race. But it's the nature of Zandvoort. It is a very difficult track to overtake in. As Ed Kerstetter is going to cross the line, P1, followed by Riley Manier in P2. Portis and Smith still going at it. But it looks like Portis is going to cross the line in P3. And Smith in P4. Raza and Rivera still going at it. We'll see if there's any last turn heroics from Rivera, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Unless Raza makes a mistake, but it doesn't look like that's going to matter as Raza's going to cross the line P5, Rivera in P6. We're going to have Jacob Hadberg. He's going to come across the line in P7. 85 is Snyder's going to cross the line, a back marker in P15. I am doing well, thank you, Yogi. I'm a little tired as the evening is approaching a finish, as we got Tyler James crossing the line in P8. Nico Camden's gonna cross the line in P9. Andreas Mastachero in P10. Ross Fallon in 11th. William Colon in 12. You got Mike Burkhoff making his way around the last two right-handers. Oh, no worries. And I was just asking, how's it going, and how did the stream go? What were you streaming? Burkhoff is going to cross the line in P13. And the 89 car, whoever that is Cussworth's going to cross the line in P21. And that is going to be your race. Your second race here tonight. And the final race tonight here at Trackilicious. That was definitely some great racing, some dramatic racing, and just some unfortunate racing, all in one. We'll turn the audio down a little bit. We'll change the scene, go into some highlights, and we'll see if we can get some interviews in here for you. Let's see. Probably this one. This will be the second one. Alright. See if we can get some interviews in here and Clutch-O-Matic 500. Now that is an amazing name. How are you doing tonight? And it was a great race from Camden. Alright, as we got a couple of the race winners in here tonight. Let's see. So, congratulations, Riley and Ed.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
So, with that, that first race those conditions were a little interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, very interesting. They were kind of weird.
Was there any, like, strategy that came into effect after that, or was it just start on dries and hope for the best?
Well, I started on dries, bumped the pressures by 6 ticks each on each tire, and it didn't work. I was still really low, but fortunate enough that I had track position. I know Ed, I talked to him afterwards, he said, I believe you were on wets, right, Ed?
Yeah, as soon as it like started raining when we were gridding, I was like, I'm gonna take a chance that the track's not gonna dry out. It's gonna get wet, but it ended up. I think it just went damp, and so was able to turn. And I had the tires were just overheating.
And I think Duran also had wets on, which is why he lost pace when the track started to dry.
And that second race was a little better with the conditions. Was it is it kind of hard to see in Zandvoort at the night, or is it?
It's
I'm
all right. Like, I'm glad we had a day race before we had that one. The only sketchy part was like the double right hander at the middle. But there's in the middle of the lap. I don't know what turn it is, but even in the dry, there's not, or even in the light, there's no good brake marker. So in the dark, it's even harder.
Yeah, I agree. I took a little bit of a break in between races to just kind of stretch, and I've kind of regretted it because as soon as I got out onto the track, I went a little wide on that corner, and that's what gave Ed that opportunity to get me. And then as soon as he was past me, because of the nature of the track, I kind of knew it was over from there. I just had to try and stay behind him as close as I could and wait for a mistake. He made like some small slip ups, but nothing that cost him too much. So great win by Ed.
Indeed,
Yeah,
it
thanks, man. That was a good
was.
race.
So with Zandvoort, it's a pretty hard track to overtake at. How much did qualifying mean during these two races?
I mean, everything. It quite literally meant everything. I feel as though if I would have gotten kind of stuck behind some of the other guys, then maybe I wouldn't be up here. I know my two teammates didn't have the best of times. I know Rivera probably had a bit better of a time than Gage, but because Gage got crashed out, I think, on the second race. But it was close. I was happy that I was up front with Ed because it's just like old times again. We're back to the Riley and Ed show a little bit, which is kind of fun. And it was just a blast racing with him, and it's good to be up front with him again. So a lot of fun.
I think I'm chasing you this season here, buddy. So it's good to be up front with you again.
I don't know about that. I know the Ferrari was fast here, but Ed's just such a good driver, so I knew he was gonna do well.
Yeah, well, you both are really rapid drivers, so congratulations again. As we have Mr. Eric Gukasian, he actually won, I believe it was the first race in his split.
Congrats, Eric.
Nice, congrats.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, it's not a thought that usually crosses my mind being so far back from everyone, but my teammates from Sim Racing Alliance, Tyler and Dom, put together a big brain strat. Worked out for all of us for the most part. Wets all the way.
Care to share?
Apparently. Wets all the way.
Wets all the way. Wow.
Yeah, we just went on wets very last minute as the weather changed. With like 40 seconds left. I think one thing that would have helped a little bit is if we dropped pressures, maybe half a psi or so, to manage through the dries. But we just stayed on and prayed and hoped the rain would come a little bit earlier than it did, but ended up working out for us and got a couple of positions in the last lap, was just with the wet coming, so that was fun.
What happened in the second race? Because I know Ed got by you, and there were two other blue flag cars, and I think it was three of you were fighting for position, and something happened in turn one, but I was able to duck underneath and get away.
Oh, that was is that what you just played? I think it's just on screen. I knew I had much better braking than the two in front of me, so I went in on it, admittedly a little bit later than I would have liked. I did hit Calcoon, which is unfortunate, and I've been trying to see if he's on Discord to apologize, but I don't think it was like an egregious send. I'll have to go back and look. I don't know. In the moment, I was like, I might have taken him out, and then kind of thinking back, my braking points as I was developing it were pretty good and better than the others, so could go either way.
Well, I appreciate it because you cleared 3 back markers out the way for me right there.
You're welcome. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. I actually just have the replay up. If it was a bad move, I apologize. I think your first name's Aaron. Aaron, please report it if you're listening. But I don't know. I thought it could have been borderline. I did let him by me just in the interest of fairness in case it was bad down the race where he was much closer, and then overtook him to like for the race. So I was trying to be fair regardless of what that outcome was.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks you guys for the interviews. We'll probably just close out the stream now, so you guys are free to leave. We'll have Eric find somebody to raid, and we'll call it a night. Congrats
I
again,
got one
guys.
for you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for broadcasting.
Yeah, thanks again, Reed. This seemed like an exciting one, so I'm looking forward to going back and watching it.
Yeah, there was a lot of exciting moments, but also some dramatic moments. But anyways, thank you everyone for tuning in, spending your Sunday evening here with us tonight at Trackilicious. We will see you next week at Bathurst for our double header. I believe it's the same format, but it's a required pit stop. So a 30-minute race with a pit stop and a 45-minute race with a pit stop. Thank you, everybody, and hope you have a great rest of your evening. Good night, everyone. And I think I'm good to end it now.
Yep, raid is sent.
All right.